Geek Tank is supported by listeners like you.
Get your Uru hammers and your Nailor guns, a sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel, it'll get you to come to the Geek Tank, to the Geek Tank, to the Geek Tank. The Rocky Mountain Geek Tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Chelsea.
And this is Geek Tank Live.
Your bucket full of controversy-sized podcast.
Now with more gates.
So we're here live in Denver, Colorado to talk about AnimeGate.
Yeah, well, that's what we're calling it.
Well,
now.
That's what I think everybody's calling it.
It's
at this
definitely
point.
the catalyst that brought up the topic that we're going to be looking at. I think we're really going to be focusing on promoting people being non-biased
Maybe.
in legal situations.
I think we're going to kind of cover a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that we need to talk about specifically right now is these are allegations. These are things people have said and brought to the forefront of social media. And
I
while
think
that is helpful for some to find support and to gain, a little bit more wisdom if other things are happening to other people, that's fine. But nothing is ever decided until it goes to court.
Okay, so we should probably catch our listeners and our viewers up on what's going on.
Oh my God, there's so much going on.
So
there's so much going on.
We've covered a little bit before with the court of social media, and we're coming back to our court of social media topic that we've discussed this before.
Yeah.
In this instance, we're talking about Vic Mignogna. I can't ever say his last name.
I can never, and I used to call him Vic. I always call him Vic Mignogna, and that's not correct. It's
No,
Vic
but
Mignogna.
he's a voice actor
Mignogna.
who's been in the anime scene since literally 1999. Now, I know him because he was in Star Trek Continues, but I don't watch dubs, so I actually had
Whatever,
no
Puritan.
idea. I know I'm like such a snob. I had no clue who he was in the anime scene.
He's huge.
At all.
He's
And
so much.
apparently he came to NDK, but he came to NDK while I was in Japan, so I had no experience with him at all.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about this guy except through the Star Trek Continues side.
Okay.
And Star Trek Continues had... So I'm just giving a little bit of background here.
Sure.
My only experience with him is that I worked with Starship Farragut doing the animated series, the 2 animated episodes. I was on the animation team that worked on the 2 animated episodes for Starship Farragut.
Okay.
And so he did a couple of voice acting pieces in there, and Continues worked with Farragut sets, and then ultimately bought Farragut sets and moved on from there. So that's the only real connection I had with him. Other than that, I know very little.
My connection is very huge compared to that.
I know,
so.
it's like, and mine's so oblique. Mm-hmm. And so all of this stuff sort of popped up out of the blue for me. And so you were educating me. So anyway, apparently what I kind of came up with in my research is that there have been allegations of misconduct with this individual.
Well, and
which
let's chat about that really quickly, because here's the thing. He's a very well-established voice actor. He's been in thousands of things. He's been in Full Metal Alchemist. He's been in Digimon, Bleach, Naruto.
And you pronounce it Ruby?
Ruby.
R-O-W-B-Y?
Yep, Ruby. He was Tamaki in Ouran High School Host Club, which is one of my favorites, and it's super cute.
Yeah.
So he is very well established.
Yes,
and
she's got 340 credits on
Yeah.
IMDb for voice acting.
And this didn't crop up until Dragon Ball Z Broly came out.
Right. And that's an interesting thing because although you did pass this on here, and our viewers at
Super
home can
Broly.
probably see this, I printed this out, and it's a blog from 2014 where somebody had indicated like all of Vic's misconduct and had listed it out. And I went through a number of those incidents, and I don't know. I mean, I can see possible problems here, possible problems there. I went through the Tumblr or the Twitter feeds.
Giant
and
Twitter listing.
there was a huge Twitter list. Man, you made me rabbit hole for like most of the day today on this one.
I did too.
Trying to kind of catch up on this. It was brutal. And it was and we just got delivered cookies.
Yay!
But I mean, this is a brutal long list. Now, like I said, I only know him as Captain Kirk from Star Trek Continues.
I'm going through his
And so-
list, and I don't know him
He's also
from
in Black Butler
anything.
too, which was pretty huge.
Right. Well, I mean, but again, I don't
Which I
watch any of
loved.
the I don't watch anime dubbed ever, with one exception,
Yeah.
and that's Kiki's Delivery Service,
Oh.
which I watch dubbed because of Gigi, the voice actor of Gigi, and that's because that is a very special voice actor, and so.
Now,
But-
some of the things on this list, I do have to chat about really quickly because some of these things on this 2004 list, right?
That's a 2014.
14. Okay. So a couple of the things on the 2014 list, we're talking about how Vic wouldn't sign anything with yaoi on it, which is basically
For those who aren't
guy-and-guy
familiar,
relationships
yaoi
in
is
anime specifically.
male and male relationships.
Now, here's the thing. Vic is a devout Christian, and he is allowed to have his faith. It is free speech. So if he does not want to sign something because it's not really his thing, I don't think people should bash him for not signing it. Sorry.
And one of the things that I saw when I was looking at that, and it wasn't clear, someone had part of it had said it was fan art, and knowing through Guy and other artists, you got to be careful with IPs of things because you don't want to sign something that's violating a
That
copyright
sometimes
issue.
happens too, yeah.
So I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's what happened, but I'm also didn't see anything that said that's not what happened. But that's one of the things that popped in my mind with that.
Some other people are upset that like he wouldn't chat about gay marriage. He kind of
Dodged it,
sloughed off
dodged
the
it.
question, which honestly, if he's not ready to talk about it, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's his right.
That's his right.
So-
And it's a thing. I mean, it's now I had seen a couple of comments where somebody had said that he had said to them that they were a disappointment in God because of that. Now
And
that's
this
crossing the line.
This of course is we don't have any evidence that he
But we don't
actually
have
said
any
it.
evidence of that. All
There's
we've
a
got
lot
is
of-
quotes.
There's a lot of argument with that too. Is, does everybody on the internet, they like to call it showing your receipts. So showing somebody who is also there who can corroborate your story, or showing text messages or private messages or emails or
Right.
video. And there are some videos that show these things where like he's saying, I'm not ready to talk about gay marriage, or just not answering the question. Sorry, not answering
That's
the
fine.
question, not saying that he wouldn't chat about it. Or like there's video of him saying like, I'm not super comfortable with that, and people getting upset.
I mean,
So
truthfully, I'm not ready to talk about my relationship with Troy.
I am.
Okay. It's all there.
I'm just here for the ride.
Right.
Wait.
That's what Guy said.
Phrasing.
So-
so it's a complicated situation, right? Because we're all in this new world of what is acceptable and what is okay.
Right.
And it's basically, if it's between two people, you need to discuss and find out what's okay. And if it's between you and a crowd of people, then that's going to get complicated
Right.
really, really fast.
So I guess part of this is that, I mean, we've got a lot of data on what's going down with Vic. But here is what did happen. What did occur is that on the 20th of January, these allegations came to light. Shortly after these allegations came to light, Funimation, which is the company that employed him, dismissed him from one of their titles. Not long after that, Rooster Teeth, another company that employs him, dismissed him. Then shortly after that, and I'll read directly what's going on here. Following the release of Dragon Ball Super Broly, which prominently features Mignogna's vocal work, I apologize, Vic, I cannot pronounce your last name. Accusations of sexual harassment began to surface against him, with some allegations dating back as far as 2008. Voice actresses Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi also tweeted their support for those speaking out and shared their own experiences of being sexually harassed. On February 5th, Rooster Teeth, creators of the animated series Rubies, severed their business relationship with him, and Funimation recast Mignogna's role of the executive and the morose Mononokean. In response to the controversy, Mignogna categorically denied any accusations of sexual harassment. However, multiple anime conventions withdrew him from their guest lists. On February 11th, Funimation confirmed on Twitter that they had ended professional ties following an investigation. That's important. An investigation. Mignogna issued an apology during his panel at Back Anime 2019 and again via Twitter on February 14th, 2019. Now, the people who are involved in the accusations are voice actress Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi, who have set up sort of the start of this. Mm-hmm. But there is a specific individual, Kaylin Saucedo, who started the Kick Vic campaign.
And that's a hashtag on Twitter specifically.
Now, the reason that this is significant, and this is kind of interesting, is that went viral, and it seems to have been what got this involved. Now, we were watching a video that you had sent us with a lawyer who had gone into the law side of this individual portion of this. We don't need to bring up the lawyer's name, but he had said something that was very important, which was voice actress Rial had said something, had put out some very straightforward accusations about things that she had said she had proof that Vic had done. Mm-hmm. And his response was, it had better be true if you're taking someone's money. And at this point in time, Vic now no longer has a career.
Yeah, his
career is over.
Is done.
So
and
with
that's
that,
intense.
That's an intense moment. He's got a
this
career
is
that spans
weeks.
back. Right, he's got an 11-year career. Oh, 20-year career. 20-year career spanning 300 titles that just wiped out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so it's one of those, and he's backed up to the point now where he's going to have to be working at McDonald's. I mean, and I'm not there's anything wrong with working at McDonald's, but he's gone from a 6-figure salary to easily a 5-figure salary now. So this is a bad move to have all of a sudden happen.
Now, we should also mention the other side on Twitter. So you have the Kick Vic campaign on Twitter, and then there's another one called I Stand With Vic. So basically, these are two fandom groups. You have the fandom groups who are adamant that Vic needs to be gone, that these survivors need to be believed, and this needs to be done, period. And this is a statement, essentially, that's being made in the anime industry. And you have the I Stand With Vic people who are like, these are absolutely ridiculous. They should have been tried in court. There's something else going on. This is a smear campaign, and this needs to be stopped.
Right.
So you have these two battling forces, and honestly, Twitter is blowing up. YouTube is blowing up. It is crazy how much is going on, and people are asking other voice actors, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Some have not even responded. Others haven't been called out about past stuff. It's getting kind of crazy.
Well, and it's terrifying even for groups like us. ANN put out, Anime News Network put out an article on this that was slanted. one way or the other.
Yeah.
And they have been lambasted because they did bad journalism. Well, rightfully so. They did bad journalism. But they are being just raked over the coals for it by one of the sides. And I can't remember which way they went. I went looking for it, but oh my goodness, there was so much
there's so
data
much
going
going
on.
on.
I can't remember which side they were on.
Right? It's incredible
it's
the
brutal.
amount of people showing up for this,
Well, and you get
because-
things like, obviously, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we've got Saucedo, who goes by Mars Girl, Marzgurl on Twitter.
I was
Yep.
going to use that handle.
See, you missed
I
it.
And
did.
she
You
was,
missed out.
I
She
should make a
posted-
back note on that. She was part of the That Guy with Glasses channel a long time ago, and she came out about the sexual allegations against one of their producers.
Right.
So she's pretty much a front runner, and people either hate her or love her anyway. So it's black and white there too.
Right. So
Right.
she's very outspoken. But I mean, she posted just a little while ago. Somebody posted to her, "Hopefully you end up in a car crash."
Yeah.
I mean, just posted that.
Her
And
response was golden, though.
Yeah, her response was, "I did. I rolled 3 times. I lived. Deal with it." And I'm like, okay, I like her. I just like her for that response. That's a great
But
response
that's
to it.
not something you should be getting.
But that's
you
also-
should
that's
not
also-
be getting that.
Half her Twitter is deleted tweets at her with death threats and awful
Yeah, it's just
things
death threats.
that have been backlogged.
And that's what we're getting is, and so we're really nervous because, of course, we think this is important to report on, but it's terrifying. We don't want to come out and say, "Oh, we agree with one side or the other," or even be perceived
That's
to
not,
agree
that's
with
not
one
good
side or the other.
reporting. That's not good news work.
But what's happening is people are reporting it, and if you're not clearly one side or the other, then you're clearly on the other side. And that's something that's terrifying. I was noticing, like, I screen captured here another individual, Matt McFarland, was a RPG guy. And so he was in he did RPG work, and he did the same thing happened to him. He was part of 7 Seas, I believe, but he also went down. And when he did, I was reading in the comment section of that, and some guy posted in there and said, "If the man has not been found guilty through due process, then this article could amount to slander, taking disciplinary actions between the scenes and talking about it for all the world to see are 2 very different things." The response was, "That's the kind of thinking that allows predators to hide and continue what they're doing. The only way to stop it is to speak out. Besides, by your reasoning, the original person isn't guilty of slander since they haven't been convicted of it." And the guy is simply saying, you can't do this without due process, right?
Defamation.
And it's defamation of
It's
character.
defamation of
And then-
character. It's slander.
And then the guy comes back and says, due process, the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and the right to face your accuser are not tools to let predators hide. They're the foundation of true justice, so that liars are prevented from open tyranny. McFarland may be the bad guy he's accused of being, but the right way to handle it is to put him in probationary suspension quietly and begin due process. We live in a day where people fake their own hate crimes, for goodness sake. Liars are real. I'm not saying that any of these accusers are liars, but if they're not, then their testimony should be held up under due process. I guarantee that you would want the same if people started accusing you, right? And so the guy then immediately responds by saying, "You're talking nonsense. This is the standard rubbish when a man is accused of abuse or harassment." So I'm sitting here saying,
Never read the comments.
right, but I'm noticing that it's, if you're not agreeing, then you're instantly defending, right?
And it doesn't
And
become
it's
a
scary.
conversation. It becomes attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, defend. And this is a complicated situation. This is, a moment that needs to happen not in the court of social media, but it needs to happen quietly through due process, which does take time. And I think the biggest thing people fear about these kinds of things, when it comes to sexual allegations is it takes so much time.
Right.
But there's a reason for this. As there is a reason in everything. Like watching Tyler go through law school, I'm seeing the reason for things. I don't always agree with it, but I understand the reasoning behind it.
Well, and things do take time. The
And
law
this-
takes time. Justice takes time.
This particular circumstance is very interesting because I asked him, you know, what do you do with a client that has had all this happen to them, like losing their job, losing, you know, all these conventions and things like that. This becomes usually like a class action lawsuit and you sue everyone involved. So you're suing, you know, if he has the funds, he's probably suing Funimation, he's probably suing Anime News Network, he's probably suing everyone who's spoken out with allegations, he's suing people who corroborate those stories, and then, you know, he's suing Rooster Teeth, which produces Ruby. So you go after everyone involved and then narrow it down to the actual, like, factual parts to kind of get that out of the way, and then you try the case from there. And that could take a very long time because there are a lot of people involved in this.
Right,
And it's
right.
every single convention that's canceled an appointment, an appearance. And there have been, what, like 6, 7 conventions that have
That
canceled
we
in?
know of.
You've got 2 companies and you've got at least a handful of people who have come out and started chatting about this. So this is a big deal, and it's blowing up like crazy, and people are taking sides, and it's very interesting to see what's happening, but I honestly don't really condone either side, to be honest.
So hypothetically, I was wondering this because obviously in my mind, with years and years and years of watching CSI and other things like
And
that,
other things.
is you always go the legal route first. But what would inspire a person to do this? And being in a role-playing mindset is you instantly get support.
Yes.
So
So
which
this
has been
is a
very
support
hard.
structure thing.
So I could see someone jumping on Twitter and saying, "Hey, this happened to me," because they're trying to find that instant feedback to pursue the actual legal aspect. The drawback, of course, is,
Yeah.
as we've seen, you automatically get judged on social media, and it can have really horrible real-world effects.
Well, and let's chat about the right way to do this after a break, because I want to bring in another tie into this story
Cool.
that I think is going to be interesting as a building block to this, and we're going to walk through that process just a little bit more about
Yeah.
how maybe the right way is to do this. So,
Let's go to a break, and we'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Carey, author of the Kushiel's Legacy series and a bunch of other stuff you should maybe check out. And you're listening to Geek Tank.
Geek Tank is sponsored in part by Geekway Homes. There's only one way to buy a home, and that's the Geek Way.
Okay, we're back.
ooh, that was a very
So-
short break.
Yeah, the breaks aren't long.
Breath. I'm eating Thin Mints for support.
I'd eat Thin Mints.
Support
except
your
I-
local Girl Scouts.
I can't eat a
Here,
Thin Mint.
You can't eat a
I'll
Thin
eat
Mint.
2.
I
so
had a root canal.
I'll eat one for
like
Guy.
2 hours ago.
Oh, well, I'll
4
give you the
hours
rest
ago.
of this pack to take home with you. How about that? And I'll open a new one.
Thank you.
So here, you take this.
No,
I'll
no,
open
you
it.
can have it. I've got Thin Mints at home.
Oh, okay.
And to give
I have
you
a dealer.
to give all the listeners out there who aren't here with us tonight live on our feed, I will now give our viewers something that only they get.
Oh my god.
So now, if you ever want to see that kind of stuff, you need to come here and figure out what it is.
I can't unsee that.
I know.
I hate when comedy shows do that. I'm really sorry. Like, whenever you get a taping of a comedy show and they're like, people at home will not know what happened. And you're
But
like,
that's true.
boo!
You'll never know
Well,
what
unless
happened.
if they go to Facebook and look up the video, which will live there for eternity.
So, we've had some interesting questions that have been on the pool. Jerry brings up a point about other people bringing in some warnings ahead of time, and there have been. I mean, I guess, like I had said before.
Some people have been talking about this for like
People
10
have been talking
years.
about this for a very, very long time.
And they've said, well, you know, I keep bringing this up and it keeps
screen
getting.
captured a photograph from somebody who had
Oh, that was so redonkulous.
So I had
That was one of the ones that was proved to be like false. Somebody was like wrote this whole sob story.
Right.
And then it was
so-
like, no, that was completely false. I was at a fan meetup. I was ecstatic. I asked. You know, he
right.
does
so
this at fan meets.
And
so.
there's all kinds of things like that. It's very hard. It's very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I could not. So to answer Aaron's comment, it's Aaron had commented, how do you prove these things? And it's very, very hard.
It's very difficult.
But see, that's sort of, I think, the point. You kind of there are people.
Well, it's
the
not our-
people who do this are better at it than us.
The people whose jobs it is to investigate these things.
are better at it than us.
Because it's been a thing, unfortunately, for a very long time. I mean, we watched, I don't know if y'all watched this, but I did, and it was the Brett Kavanaugh investigation. I watched that. I monitored the Brock Turner situation. That was heartbreaking. These moments are heartbreaking, no matter what you do, because this is somebody's life. Right? That's like the moral thing, right? This is somebody's life. And so you have to sit on the side and think, would somebody make all of this up to ruin somebody else's life, and what it takes to do that? And would somebody ruin somebody else's life by committing these actions, and they had to live with it for so long that now they finally say, I have enough support, I can do this, and then just all this torrential hate and horrible like malice comes down on them. There are two sides to this. This sucks on both sides.
Yeah, there's
Because either way, somebody's in the wrong.
for a long
Or they're
time,
both in the wrong. As in one case, they're both in the wrong. Goodness. It's so
It's-
frustrating because there's a lot of gray area.
So there really is. It's tough. It's really tough. Apparently you look like you're on caffeine at least.
Yeah, I've had some caffeine. Today was a good day. So today work was much better than usual.
But we've
to kind of steer back, there's a start to this. And the start to this kind of sits, as far as I can tell, with Jessie Pridemore, who is a cosplayer. She's also acted in a couple different films.
I had Pridemore in my notes too.
So she did this post, and she's like, I need to chat about this, but I'm not going to name the person because I am finally strong enough to talk about this, but I don't want, a full-blown war. I just need to get this off my chest, kind of a thing. And so she posted she had a night at a convention. She maybe had too much to drink. She was talking to a guy, and unfortunately she passed out, and she woke up and she was naked in somebody else's hotel room and very concerned. And that was it. And so, this became huge. Huge. And so people were asking, who is it? And some people private messaged her, talking to her. Is it this person? Is it this person? Is it this person? And she, I believe, mentioned who had done it. I just need to check this first to make sure. Because I want to be accurate.
We want to be accurate before we go out
remember-
there and start
and this
saying
has been
things.
so,
'cause
like, I've read this, like,
we've
so
learned
long
our
ago.
lesson. Don't be a reporting company that goes out and reports stuff and then reports it wrong.
Yeah.
Ha-ha!
I remember you bringing this up. I don't know if it was on the show or it probably wasn't on the show before, about her mentioning this, and she was trying to do a very anonymous thing and not point fingers at anybody specific, but then that of course became a problem, which, as far as the court of social media goes, when we're looking at canceling conventions in this case, I can see the convention side of the story of the, well, if it's true, we want to protect our con-goers.
Well, I mean, I already know because I'm privy to the private messages of NDK. There have already been a slew of people who have been private messaging us at the convention saying, well, don't ever allow Monica Rial to ever be at your convention ever again because she just ruins people's careers. Wow. Don't ever allow Vic to be at your convention ever again because he's a molester. You know, we've already had that kind of
flood of
it's
social
just
media
flooding the fans have already been demanding of us as a convention to stop. And of course our response is, whoa, what the hell are we going to do with all this? Well, we don't even know what to do.
because you can't please both sides.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
It doesn't matter if we ever have Monica or if we ever have Vic, it's going to upset everybody.
And then if you ban someone, you're going to upset the people who didn't want them banned.
Right. And then of course if you don't invite them, then it looks like you banned them, and oh man, what a mess. And it's like, what a disaster area. I mean, this has put the conventions in a really rough spot. Speaking as somebody who works in these conventions, but you think about this. I'm a volunteer. I mean, yeah, okay, so I've been with NDK now for every year since the very beginning, but I volunteer. I
that's the nature of how they work.
I didn't.
You're not getting paid. Yeah.
I didn't join NDK because of the great riches, or the fame or anything like that.
Which makes me wonder why we're still with it.
I don't know. But all three of us work
fun.
that convention because we all are friends and we're buddies and we love the convention and stuff like that. And so when all of this evilness, let me get to the end of this thought though.
Yeah.
When all this evilness comes down on us for it, it just hurts because it's like, what? Yeah. One of our Brent is saying there's riches in conventions.
Depends on the convention and
I
the
guess
person
it
running
does.
it.
But not ours. Anyway, when all this hate comes down on us, and all of a sudden we have to make the big boy calls, and it's like, and you do it wrong,
Why
and then
isn't
everybody
it a
hates
big
us.
girl cause? Why is it got to be?
Okay, we want to make a big girl call.
Because the girls will make smarter decisions.
The girls always make better decisions, I've noticed. Because, boy, we don't make good decisions. You and me, we suck. That's why we make her in charge.
I'm
just saying.
Thank goodness you're here.
We just put her in charge because... Did you see the podcast when you weren't here? I mean, this place was a disaster area. We're just saying.
Everything caught on fire.
It was horrible. But I mean, but I think about that, and I'm thinking, now here we are, stuck between two very large, very angry groups of fans, and I keep thinking, we just volunteer for this. I keep feeling Murtaugh law here. Getting too old for this crap. That's all I can think of.
No, there's not really riches in conventions at all, or riches in voice acting per se.
No,
they don't make millions of dollars or anything like that. But they
Vic was making enough money
money
that he was reasonably comfortable.
He's well known. And the biggest thing is, like, there are two places for voice actors. You're either in LA or you're in Toronto. Is it Toronto or Vancouver? Sorry. So you are either in Canada or you are here in the U.S. So there are two separate locations for voice actors.
So what did you find?
So this is the Facebook post made by Pride Moore. Essentially, she said, a voice actor that I'm not willing to name because I can't be alone when I do this. He's too powerful, that I really admired and thought was cute, was flirting with me. Used my divorce as an in. Him and another man kept feeding me drinks. Despite another voice actor kicking him in the leg to stop, he kept going. He was inviting me up to his room to see his Japanese candy collection. I blacked out. I woke up half off his bed and undressed from the waist down. I couldn't even see whose room I was in. I gathered my stuff and left horrified. After talking to a couple people, I pieced together what had happened. I was too young to understand what consent was in the situation and thought he was truly interested in me. I'd give more details, but it would give his identity. So she went to the next convention he did, spent the entire weekend there. He treated her like garbage. She finally opened it up to her ex-husband about it, and essentially her ex-husband said, "You were raped." So even then, she said she didn't want to admit it. Over the years, I found there were more girls that had happened to. He started telling people I was obsessed with him and just mad he didn't want to date me. So that sat on social media for a while, and people were coming to her in private messages, and she was confirming, yes, it's that person. And then nobody had said anything yet. Nobody had like named the guy outright. And then all of a sudden, Todd Habercorn posted 2 separate Facebook posts. And one showed proof that Pridemore was talking about him, while the other just kind of expanded on what happened. And essentially he said, so this buddy of mine and I met up with his friend that he mentioned. We hit it off like adults often do at a party. We had drinks. The woman at the time was 24. I was 27. We were both adults. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, he goes into like just kind of a tangent a little bit. And I'm trying to keep it concise. So we bonded over talking, laughter, and drinks. A conversation and hanging out went on into the wee hours of the night. The attractive girl I had met and myself continued flirting that had been going on. The flirting led to my hotel room where we engaged in consensual adult intimacy sex. So due to the very late hour of the night, around 5 to 6 a.m. because the sun was coming up, the long convention day and drinks, both she and I passed out for some sleep. Sunday was another convention day and we both had appointments to keep, so as much as it hurt to go without getting some good sleep, we had to get up and get to it. And we left the hotel room together. She went her way and I went mine. Now, in the second one, he shows like all these personal messages in between them, and it's rough. Like, I recommend you go read them if you want to. They go
But
back
we're
and
not
forth.
going to air that. No.
It's too much. But it's kind of crazy because they were both going through divorces at the time. They were both a little bit broken, both a little bit miserable, both probably not in the best state of mind for either of them, to be honest, as far as I can tell.
But if she was going through a divorce, she was clearly not underage.
And no,
Okay.
she's not underage. And then Adam Sheehan, who was the buddy who had introduced the two of them, was like, bro... He said, I was surprised that Todd decided to use her post about surviving an assault to all but say it was me to the other part of Jesse's story around the unnamed voice actor in the post. You were not called out by name, so you thought that jumping in and saying it was you was a good idea. Like, you shouldn't blame her story. He goes on to say, like, you shouldn't blame her for having this story. You should chat with her and you guys should talk about what happened. But you should probably do it in private, and I'm really upset with you, Todd, because
Right.
Todd is his friend in this situation. So
Like many things, it should have been handled off of social media.
this is icky. Like, I did not like reading people's private. I don't like reading people's private messages. It's really icky.
I'll stop sending them to you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Gosh.
Especially when he screen captures our
Yeah, no,
private
I don't need
messages.
to know what you're thinking. I'm good.
Between the
no,
two
we're
of
fine.
us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. I'm going to be over here.
Fine.
Sanitizer
We won't
wall.
share with you anymore.
So
But we like having her as a third,
this situation,
but only as the mediator.
The reason that this blew up was because Jessie said in a later post, and I'm paraphrasing, she said that she had later dealt with Vic, and Vic had said that because Todd had had his way, he could now have his way with her because she was a voice actor's girl. That kind of thing.
Okay, that one's a little over the top.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
so we're still kind of hashing out what all went down. Now, here is my feeling on all of this, and let's kind of get to sort of a wrap
I
up
think
on
that
this.
was her anyway. I need to check.
Because
Oh.
what I'm still feeling on this is this. In the end, this is still a capitalism, and Vic's career is over.
Now, one
and
job is over because of a private internal investigation. I don't think Rooster Teeth has said whether or not they've had an
No,
investigation or
Rooster Teeth's Rooster Teeth's done with him.
because they just replaced
Funimation
him.
confirmed that they've ended following an investigation.
Funimation said they had an
But
investigation. I
it
haven't found
doesn't matter
anything
whether
about Rooster
Rooster
Teeth
Teeth-
doing that. And you
Rooster
know,
Teeth
Rooster Teeth
severed-
has been around for a long time,
Yeah,
and
but
they're a
also
good bunch.
They're also a little company.
They are very
But
tiny.
again, to me, I'm kind of looking at this as from a law point of view, which is he may be very guilty. He may be very, very guilty. But I still see sort of pitchforks and torches here. You know what I mean? The mob went out and torched him, which we invented justice so that that wouldn't happen. That's why we made the justice system.
Yeah.
Was so that people wouldn't... Because, hey, we may be right 75% of the time, but the 25% of the time that we're not right, we're putting witches on big poles and sticking them in the lake to see if they float.
I mean,
You know,
you have to remember...
Witches are made out of wood. That's
why
the
they
biggest
put
thing
them
is,
on
like,
floats.
this is people's livelihoods.
yeah.
You can destroy people with this.
Yeah.
And a lot of... I know some people don't believe in, like, the Me Too movement or feminism and things like that, extreme sides of it, but I don't think they take into account the other pieces of it collectively. And I'm sorry, I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of slander. Even, like, as recent as a year ago, I have held people as they cried saying, my life is over and I don't know what to do because so-and-so said I did this or so-and-so did this to me.
Now,
And that's
I have
terrifying.
I have a final thought that was brought up, strangely enough, by my wife. When I brought this thing up, she had commented about this because I said, I don't know if this is a very good point or a bad point, but then she had said, the thing about this, though, is that voice actors, when you enter this field, you become effectively politicians in capitalism. And
Yes.
people vote with their dollar. And so if you cannot hold up your campaign, then the vote is over and you're voted out. And I thought, and that
That totally
See, that would have to
makes
apply
sense.
to every artist, not just voice actors. It
All
would apply
artists.
to-
all
I mean,
artists,
like old
2D
school
art.
rock
you're
and
out there.
rollers,
That's exactly
you know,
rock and roll.
theater.
Everybody who's in the limelight.
Yeah.
Everybody who's in the limelight. And I thought about that, and I thought, that's a brutal statement, but she's right.
Yeah, politicians
Once
tend to
you
get away
walk
with things
into
a
the
little
limelight-
bit more, though.
Once you walk into the limelight, you are effectively a capitalist politician.
Now,
So this is vigilanteism, is what it's a new form of vigilanteism.
It totally
because
is.
Without knowing for sure whether someone's guilty or not, you can execute their career.
yeah, absolutely. You can assassinate them
Yeah.
career-wise. Now, really quick, just to kind of tie this in a little bit, because I forgot about this, Vic is not very good at keeping a separation between himself and his fans. He has his own fan clubs, which he runs, and he helps others to run, called the Rise and Bull Rangers, and he'll chat with them sometimes. He's given out his personal cell number a couple times, and people have verified that. There's a big thing with celebrity, and the difficulty with celebrity is you have to separate yourself to a
Right.
point. You have to keep some of yourself for yourself, and then you can have kind of your persona out there. Good examples of this are like Bruce Campbell. I doubt Bruce Campbell is as bright and hysterical as he is, at conventions as he is in private all the time. He might be a quiet guy. Like, for instance, a good example, a celebrity example, Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
My parents know Tony Shalhoub because his brother actually lives here and is a good friend of ours. Tony is extremely quiet. He's a quiet, soft-spoken guy. And when he's on screen, he lights up. He's very funny. He's very nervous. He's very ecstatic. So there is an energy there that you have to remember, and there is a separation. And Vic doesn't necessarily have that because he's on his fan forums. He's doing fan meetups. He's excited to see his fan. He does hugs. He does kisses. Supposedly gets consent beforehand for most that I've read. For some, maybe not. He's an affectionate guy. And in this day and age, that might not be the best idea for him.
Right.
So there's a lot to think about here, and if you want, we can post a bunch of links to a bunch of different things that I have gathered because, oh my god, there was so much information. But this is a really tough situation, and it's difficult to talk about because you do have to be straightforward.
Oh, you know what? You were going to tell us what to do
I would say
legally.
it's difficult because I've never had this happen to me in my life.
Well,
but
I mean,
I would say if you're going to garner support or talk about it, you need to talk about it privately with friends and family. I've had, people come to me before and talk about it privately and say, what should I do? And it becomes we need to go to the police on both sides. Or you need to get a lawyer. Let's go talk to a lawyer. I have a lawyer friend that we need to chat with. This should not be out in the open until you are fully ready to go to court. So it should go.
This guy said it right.
It's difficult, right?
He said put him in probationary suspension quietly and begin due process. That's totally right.
Because everyone should have their day in court.
Right.
And not the court of social media, like actual court.
Right. Okay, well, there you go. And there we go. We are out for the show. Do you want to come back into this and chat with the guys after the show's over for a few minutes?
Yeah, I would say we can.
Let's do a little after show. So why don't you guys hold on in the room?
And if you're listening and you want to check it out, you need to come check us out on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean after this is over, I'm gonna go on ahead and go to the end credits and then stop the recording, and then you guys can come in and hang out in the chat room. And if you want to hang out with us live, show up next week. Until then, I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Chelsea.
And this is Geek Tank Live.
As always, you can email us at questions@RockyMountainGeekTank.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We're Rocky Mountain Geek Tank. Feel free to join the conversation. We look forward to hearing from you.
Geek Tank is a production of Foxblade Media and is protected under the Creative Commons 3.0 license. Your hosts today were Guy S. Davis, C. Troy Fuller, and Chelsea Kramer. Kevin Weibler is our engineer, and our music was composed by David Coyle. Geek Tank is funded by listeners like you. Please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Foxblade.